All right. Now give me a one if you can hear me. We're starting off on the steel. If you can't hear me now, we got problems. Okay. All right. Appreciate that. Yeah, starting off on the little bit on the slow foot. Got my apologies. It's been raining all day. It's currently raining now. Step slow mentally, apparently. Yeah, I don't know anything about the 888, whatever. Again, well, I guess allow me to reintroduce myself, as somebody said. Again, I am your host, DC Radical One. This is SBL Talk, our new show. This is episode 3, and I guess I will go back. And tonight's discussion is Black love still relevant in a time of war? And as I said, I don't know why that looks like that, because that's not how I designed it, but hey, apparently it's going to be one of those nights. So before I get started, got some announcements, of course. And for the people who are over on the Instagram side, which I have not checked to see how many of those may or may not be. If you are over on the Instagram side, if you can make your way over to the YouTube side, the YouTube is DC Radical One. I'd appreciate it, because you'll be able to interact more with the show. And this is an interactive show. We will have a special guest tonight. We'll have the sister that basically inspired the show. Will be on. So we'll see how that goes. First and foremost, this Saturday at noon, from noon to 2, ASCM, the Anti-Sexualization of Children movement, which is a non-profit that features some of the members of SBPM. They're going to have the ASCM 101 youth curriculum overview of the ASCM lesson plans dealing with cooperative nationalism, gender development, eugenics, propaganda, psychosexual effects of propaganda, and defense mechanisms against. So that will be on live streaming on Twitter at ASC Movement. More info on that is info@ascmovement.org. That's, you can email at info@ascmovement.org. And if you would like to attend live in the DMV area, that's 1450 Mercantile Lane, Suite 157, Largo, Maryland 20774. So that is ASCM. That is a nonprofit organization, and you can donate to ASCM via Cashapp at $ASCM Saves Children. That's $ASCM Saves Children, and that is a tax deductible donation. That is Saturday, August 10th. So this Saturday, 2 days from today, less than 48 hours. Right? So I'll put that up. I think I'll put that up in the community page on YouTube tomorrow. And then next Saturday, of course, not this Saturday coming up, but the Saturday after, the 10th annual SBPM convention, the Whirlwind, the African World Revolution. That's Garvey Day, Saturday, August 17th, 2024. That's 2 p.m. Eastern Time to 7 p.m. at Terra Cafe. Terra Cafe is located at 101 East 25th Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21218. It's a free event to all straight, black, and proud people. Dress in your African best. Be featuring, of course, Brother Genie, Brother Darren Muhammad, and another brother y'all know very well and like a little bit. That's on Garvey Day. So that is the 10th annual Straight Black Pride Movement Convention. And we'll be live streaming that, and I'll get the details of that out early in the week. But let me greet everybody, because I haven't even greeted everybody. Let's go back up. BB4 Straight Black Pride, then Brother Elijah. BB4 Straight Black Pride to Sister Vanessa. BB4 to Sister Simone. BB4 to Brother You Got Ripped Off. BB4 Straight Black Pride to Sister Najee. And peace to Sister Poetry. All right, so first of all, I forgot. Let us begin with our It's Still in Development Straight Black Oath. This is not our official Straight Black Oath. We're working on that. I've been assigned that task, so I got to work on it. So, but eventually, once it's finalized and become to an official SBPM meeting, this is how we'll be starting. It says, I pledge allegiance to my own black self-respect and to the respect of all other straight, black, and proud people on planet Earth, all of whom are victims of global Zionist hegemony and white domination. I pledge to use all of my life's energy, intelligence, and creativity in all areas of people activity to eradicate the system of Zionist hegemony and white domination on planet Earth and throughout the known universe, and to replace it with the system of Mayat, which is truth, justice, righteousness, and reciprocity, so that the eternal survival and eventual dominion of black people can be ensured on planet Earth and throughout the universe for all eternity. So help me, God, and our beloved ancestors. Ashe. So that's how we're starting off. That's the spirit we're starting off in. And we're going to just get into it. Greetings to Sister Nina. And I thought I saw Sister Vanessa, but I didn't read her. Before they Straight Black Friday, Sister Vanessa. I'm pretty sure I missed you. So let's get started. Some of this will be review, but point number one, because the goal, we get confused. Like, some people think the goal is eternal dating. That seems to be where many people are right now. But the goal for black people in traditional African society and traditionally here in America has been and will be, because we're the inventors of it, is marriage. Right? And it was an expected part of adulthood. And in many African societies, you weren't even considered an adult if you were not married. And the family was, and still is for those who are staying, considered the foundational institution of a society. Where you have declining marriage, you have a declining society. And as we see, and we've talked about on previous episodes, we have a decline in marriage in America in general, not just amongst black people. And we see the state of the society. And in traditional African societies, there was no debate about the equality of men and women, as each had their job to do for the society. It's so interesting that when you're actually doing the work, the debate on who's supposed to do what doesn't actually last that long, because you don't have time for that debate. Because why? Because you're doing the work, right? Also, during enslavement, black men and black women would often escape and try to find their spouses and children, risking life and limb. Black people will buy their loved ones with money that they saved up working, quote unquote, overtime, and get money to buy their spouse's freedom. This is how important family has been traditionally to Black people. Since integration, we've lost this in many ways. And I'll be honest, when in the 90s, I'll say, when I first heard that Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad said that integration was a trick. Now, mind you, they had said this 30 years before, before I heard it. I didn't understand, just be honest. I was probably 20 years old or so. It's like, how can integration be a trick? And, as time goes on, it's like relatively obvious now, considering where we are, considering what we have. And so one of the main things we lost a lot of things. We lost land. We've lost, we've lost land. We've lost wealth. We've lost lives. We've lost parts of our culture, our history, traditions, dignity, self-respect. You know what I'm saying? Like, we lost a lot of things. It says integration, and the further into integration we go, the further into madness we go, right? So now it's like readily apparent to me what they were saying, but at the time it was not. By the way, brother, you got ripped off. Make sure you give me a time check at 10, because I'm trying to, well, I guess that's 8 o'clock your time, but top of the hour. Because that's what I'm trying to be, finish these slides and get into the discussion. So, next slide. Historical attack on the Black family. And we covered this previously, but it needs to be reiterated, because I think we forget. I think we think we're doing something by not keeping our families together. You know what I'm saying? It says the attack on the Black family began in the coffin lines, where African men and women were separated. This continued in the slave dungeons like Elmina, and continued on the slave ships, where men, women, and children were separated, where our women and children could be violated by our enemies. Just plain and simple. And sometimes the men were violated by our enemies on those ships as well. But the captains had a predilection towards boys. That's where the concept of cabin boys came from. First, they used their own sons, and then they found that they liked ours just as much, if not more. Right? But nobody talks about this aspect of our enslavement. Now, our enemies know that our strength comes from the family, and it is the family that allows us to pass down our culture and traditions. Ancestral memories passed down preserve our natural survival instincts. Without this, we are setting ducks for our enemies. Now, things, man, I don't know why the formatting for this thing is just, anyway. Things Black love, Black people overcome. Again, we forget this, right? Slavery, right? Look, we'll just be completely honest. And as much as Black men hated enslavement because of what they had to do, Black men hated enslavement even more for what their families had to go through, right? So when the opportunity came to run away, burn down the plantation, or whatever other ways you could subvert the system, people took it, right? Like, the history of resistance has been largely erased from our minds, so that we can be what we are now, which is not Black people. All right, we run around. We have been convinced to call ourselves N-words, and then convinced to act like it as well. Now, as I said, slavery. Many Black people fought in the Civil War to end slavery. Other people did whatever they could to buy freedom for their loved ones, and without Black love, it is doubtful that slavery would have ended when it did. Right? You You even have black people in the North who were petitioning and making deals and doing all types of stuff to end slavery. If you're free and you're doing that for people who are enslaved, you don't do that just for your benefit. You're doing that for the benefit of people you love, right? I think, and another thing, we have a very narrow, when I talk about straight black love, we have a very narrow understanding, right? It is it's beyond just the individual man or woman or beyond the family. It is the collective love of the nation is included in that as well. So we talk about all aspects of that, right? Jim Crow. So after enslavement and after we begin to build things up for about a 10-year, 12-year period, something like that, Jim Crow was introduced in with the, I forgot what they called it. The Great Compromise, whatever it is, 1877. How do you think black people survived that? Right? I mean, black men organized to, shoot back, basically, against Klansmen and racial terrorism. It's just plain and simple. Brother, you got ripped off, says multiculturalism has Negroes going around stealing other people's identities. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't even want to get into that in this show. Civil rights, every civil rights group featured black men and black women working together. You see them marching together, organizing together. There's no civil rights movement without black men and black women working together. Period, point blank, in the discussion. It's not nothing else to talk about. Black Power. The Black Panther Party, BLA, Republic of New Africa, featured black men and women in leadership. I was looking for the video, but I said I'm not even going to do the video because I didn't want to risk this particular discussion getting taken down. But people forget, and this is just an example, that the reason Assad Shakur is in Cuba and free and has been free for 40 something years. I'm not even sure, like 45, something like that. It's because she was broken out by the Black Liberation Army. Black men broke her out of prison and escorted her out of the country to get asylum in Cuba. Like, nobody likes to talk about that part. Like, people talk about, oh yeah, Assad Shakur. Oh yeah, Assad Shakur is in Cuba. Nobody says, oh yeah, black men risked their lives to break into jail to escort Assad Shakur out of the jail, right? Nobody likes to talk about that, right? So that's part of our tradition. Now, what are some of the more modern attacks on the black family that we never talk about? The CIA funded crack epidemic. Y'all, for some of you all seen my lectures, I got documentation on, you said I'm fading out. I'm not sure what that's about. I don't know. You talking about sound wise? Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what that's about. The CIA funded crack epidemic. I don't know why, because almost everybody in the last 2-3 generations have been affected by it. Why we never talk about this is beyond me. CIA helped a CIA asset brought in cocaine to help fuel the crack epidemic. Freeway Ricky Ross's Connect was a CIA asset. This is documented history. I forgot the name of the book. But yeah, there's a whole book on it that I read 25 years ago or so. The person that wrote the book mysteriously, allegedly deleted himself by shooting himself twice in the head. Now you heard what I said, twice in the head. So again, that was an attack on the black family. I didn't even put it here. I don't even know how I didn't put it here, but that funded that helped fuel the whole mass incarceration situation that Joe Biden helped fuel with the 94 crime bill, which is another attack. You see what I'm saying? On the family, another attack. So that's a two-pronged attack where you take the men not only out the home but off the streets. And then you also bring in the guns so that the young men are shooting each other, right? Many times we talk about the disparity in the number of black men and black women, but this is the reason, and we don't talk about that. All of that stems from the CIA-funded crack epidemic. Number two, CIA-funded feminism. I got a whole lecture on death, rebirth, and goddess black woman. We go into feminism, its roots. Joyce, everybody knows it now, but when I first started talking about it, it was like 6 years ago, nobody was talking about it. Gloria Steinem, CIA asset. It's plain and simple, right? She literally wrote the book on destroying black power when she said, after black power and women's liberation. We don't talk, for whatever reason, we don't talk about these things. That's why I said I'm not here for any ahistorical discussions on black gender dynamics. I'm only here for reality-based historical discussions on the subject. Small head engineered alterations of hip-hop to gangster rap, trap music, drill music, mumble rap, etc. Talked about before. Just be completely honest. We've been calling our women B's and H's for decades now. 2 generations. Like there's 2 to 3 generations of women that never heard a positive rap song about a black woman. I mean, I guess if you can consider like Ja Rule's kind of rap, like a rap R&B meld of stuff that Ja Rule was doing. Like everybody sits around and clowns him now, but it's better than a lot of stuff, just from the aspect of just showing a positive interaction in the video between a black man and a black woman. So it's just interesting. I just really thought about it. Then 50 Cent came and stole his style with 21 Questions. But anyway, put your homophilia in movies, TV, and music. Right. Yeah, right. Ja Rule talking about what would I be without you? He put a black woman in the video, so it makes it appear like he's talking about a black woman. So give him props for that. What was I? Oh yeah, homophilia. Yeah. The Olympics. That's all I gotta say. You know what I'm saying? We gonna talk about pushing homophilia. The Olympic opening thing was so bad that they took it off the internet. I barely even got to see it, which I ain't mad because it was disgusting what I saw. I ain't even see nothing else. It was absolutely ridiculous. And stuff people told me about was even worse. So push up interracial relationships in media and push up racially ambiguous people. Right? I don't even have to say nothing about it. And of course, we had something we rarely talk about, the push of quote unquote adult entertainment into the homes of families for the last 3 generations, maybe at least 2. Like now the children walk around with it in their pocket, which when I first heard it was shocking, but then when I thought about it, I'm like, walking around with a personal computer in your pocket. So why I was shocked, I don't know. Sister Nina says most brothers I know speak negatively about marriage. Distaste speak life, love, and happiness about this. I'm not sure I understand the second half of your statement. But yeah, I mean most brothers that talk negatively about marriage though never been married. Oh, you said most sisters. I don't hear a lot of sisters talking positively about marriage. I'm gonna be completely honest. The only sisters out here talking positive about marriage are the sisters that are married. I don't hear any single, just being completely honest, don't hear any single women saying anything positive about marriage nowadays. In fact, being completely honest, it's most brothers I talk to would like to get married. They don't talk negatively about marriage. They talk negatively about the lack of what they feel like are qualified candidates. So that's two different things. Not liking the institution and not liking the prospects of getting married, to me, are two different things. So, but that depends on the circles that you're in and the people you talk to. I'm talking about people who I interact with. I'm not talking about the internet, because that's a whole nother thing. So, all right, issues that are more, apparently I was rushing, that are taking priority over finding straight black love, right? And this part was inspired by a conversation I had with Sister Najee. And so I just looked at some of the major issues that are going on. Number one, the economy. Hey, let's just be realistic, man. The cost of everything has doubled. And when people don't have, their money ain't right, you feeling anxiety, not feeling like socializing. You don't want to do anything because breathing costs money. And then, it just make everything hard. It make you feel disagreeable. Yeah, I mean, look, man, I can't speak for everybody. But since Biden's come in, for me personally, the economy is garbage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate Biden. I'm just being completely honest. I don't know if you say that on here or not. I hate him. Period. Okay? It's personal. Like, what I had to go through to avoid that jab, nah. No love. Dr. Collins say no love for the other side. But I digress. I'm back. So as a brother, and you ain't trying to court nobody, the pockets ain't right. And as a sister, sisters get into that thing where they gotta work extra, or they gotta worry about paying rent, and at that point things become more acculturated prostitution than love, right? Number two, and these are in no particular order, but these are 4 things I thought major things that are happening right now. The election. A lot of black women are supporting Kamala before they really pro-black and plant-based. And a lot of black men are, let's just say, a lot of straight black men are saying, I'll pass that. So, I mean, that's something that's causing division. You know what I'm saying? So that is just another impediment. The good part about that is, though, here's the only good part about the election thing. Once you have that discussion, then you can weed out people that you're not going to deal with. Just plain simple. Just like, okay, this person, they advocate, like, whatever your political leanings are. So if the person's political leanings are diametrically opposed to yours, then you got to waste any more time. The jab. I was actually going to do an event. This was a few years ago with a sister, attractive sister, smart, a lot of positive things. And this was like right. It's like, I guess the year after the pandemic, something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, but yeah, she was pro-jab. And when I found out she was pro-jab, I was like, oh, yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, nah, we can't work together because you pro-jab and I'm anti-jab. And we around each other and trying to organize and do stuff and have this event and everything. And yeah, that ain't gonna work. So that, that kind of, you know what I'm saying? So that is a real thing. Like, that is something you really got to put on the table. Greetings to Sister Shanique, when she said jab and ghost. Yeah, look, that's a real issue. Like, that's There's no way around that. If you are against the jab and the person took it, there's nothing else to talk about. To me, they look, not to get on a rant, but I saw something today that was just not yesterday, whatever, real weird. 40-year-old former athlete suddenly passed away. And I was waiting to see what they were going to say. And then they said heart something. Basically heart attack, cardiac arrest or whatever. 40-year-old athlete. All I'm saying is I've never been in a time before the last 5 years where I've seen so many athletes of various ages, from starting from high school forward, dying from cardiac arrest. Just saying, it's very weird that all of this started happening within the last 3 years or so. So yeah, so that's that. Next, racial tension and unrest. Police terrorism, immigration, and good old-fashioned racism is causing people to be uneasy. Hey man, every 4 years they start covering it. We know this stuff is going on in between, but every 4 years something egregious happens that they cover. Sister Sonia Massey, like, that's so egregious that whatever they call justice is, bruh. There is no justice for that I can talk about on this platform. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, like, those of y'all who know me, only a few of y'all know me. Like, just know what I really, really think about it. But yeah, police terrorism, immigration, all these issues, and it makes it like the stuff on your mind, you can't really look at anything else. You know what I'm saying? Now, next, the question I ask, can straight black love alleviate any of these issues? All right, let's start at the top. The economy. Let's just be honest. 2 or more incomes are better than one. If you can consolidate your household, you have multiple incomes and less expenditures, yes, straight black love can alleviate that to some degree. But let's also be real. What's one of the number one things that breaks up relationships? Money. Right? Just plain and simple. The money. That's one of the things. Like, people talk about infidelity and all that. And yeah, that's a thing. But the money really is one of the things that messes up relationships. But like, women always say, I can do bad by myself. But why do bad by yourself when you can do good with someone else, right? Now, that is dependent upon finding a brother who is at least doing well enough to be self-sufficient. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the economy, man, that's one thing straight black love can help alleviate, in my humble opinion. 2, the election. Okay, straight black love can help you. All it can do is help you pick a mate who shares your values. So I guess it does. It does help, right? Like, in the aggregate, like amongst our people, that don't help. No, but it helps you, because when you hear a person advocating for one side or a position, a policy, or whatever, and you totally against that, and lets you know right there, you're like, oh, okay, you for that? Like, cool, good to know. The jab, see the above, right? Same principles of what we already talked about. And then racial tension and police terrorism. Black men in a household can protect an individual household, and a group of black men who have investment in the community get organized and defend the community. Here's one thing, and this is going to lead into next week's show. I already got the idea for next week's show. Here's one thing. Many times what has taken place over the last number of years, because And these numbers are really high for men under 30, like really high. Because of the disparity in men who have children and men who do not, and men who are married and men who aren't, especially like 30, 35 and under. Those men don't have an investment in the community. When men don't have an investment in the community, organizing to do stuff in the community is not their priority because they have no investment. They're in the community, but they're not part of the community. So when people talk about school funding, for example, or people talk about like just certain issues that are more centered around the family, or even politics and a lot of policy, because a lot of policy is based around family issues. They have no investment in the community. They don't have wives. They don't have children. Like they're doing their own thing. So when something like police terrorism, for example, they're just gonna be like, hey, they're just gonna be like, well, shouldn't go to police or whatever, whatever. Or they don't have any comment, right? But they don't have any outrage. They don't feel connected to the communities. And especially with a lot of men, younger men who have these very, I don't know the word, but these very strained relationships with their mothers, right? That even makes it even more of that. So, the days of what I talked about earlier, BPP and the BLA, Deeds for Defense and all that. People forget these were family men. These were men who had investment in the community, people that their parents were still in the community, their wives, their children, their cousins and aunts and things like that. So that's a real thing. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to get more in depth into that next week, right? Now, lastly, I think this is the last thing. And then I'm going to bring my guest on. If they're still here, they haven't fallen asleep. Guest, are you still here? Sister Najee, let me know. You say there's a typo. You talking to me, Sister Nina? You talking to somebody else? Number one, what is the actual purpose of straight black love? Number one, to ensure the continued survival of our race via reproduction, cultural continuity, wealth accumulation, and nation building. Notice what I didn't say. Fornicating with everybody you can get your hands on. It's not part of the purpose of straight black love, right? Well, I mean, I think we get this thing confused, right? And we all fall victim to it because of the type of society we're in. I'm not saying that this is the entire comprehensive purpose, but these are some things I came up with as I was contemplating this subject. Number two, to continue the work of our ancestors in gaining sovereignty and eventual dominion. We are not supposed to be at the bottom of the global ladder as a people. That is not where we're supposed to be. That is not our divine birthright or God meant for us to be here, and none of that stuff. That ain't it. So I just want to put that out there as I post the link. Pretty good sister. So yeah, I did, because we get confused. Our belief in the divine has been corrupted in a way that we sit around and say that what's going on now and our condition and stuff is God's will. I disagree with that vehemently. It is not. It's in fact because we are not in tune yet. We have continued to be in this condition, in my humble opinion. Where am I? Oh, 3, to produce a warrior class to protect black people. You producing black sons and they're not protecting black people, then they're gonna be end up victimizing black people. I mean, I'll just say Chicago, and we can be finished with that. Lastly, to produce visionary leaders who can guide our people to a glorious future. And notice that doesn't have a gender put on, right? To build connections between various black ethnic groups to build a global nation. This is something we don't talk about. Like, just because black people here, we're out of balance as far as the number of people and all that stuff. There is nothing that says that you cannot marry someone from the Bahamas, the continent, a black person. Yeah, we got black people everywhere. You know what I'm saying? South America, North America, Asia, Africa, Europe. It's probably 2 black people in Antarctica right now. I'm talking about, what about us? Right? So I'm just saying. And lastly, close this out. I gotta state this because people get confused. Please note, you cannot produce black life in a non-black womb, brothers. That's for us. Because a lot of people, not. Kevin Samuels was one of the people that put this out, that in essence, all you need is a black man to produce black life. That's cap. That's false. That's a fallacy. That is incorrect. It's a lie. You can produce a hybrid, but if you read Destruction of Black Civilization, all you're going to produce is an enemy in your own family. Right? So before I bring the sister on, bring the rules of engagement, which she already knows, but anyway, number 1, always be respectful to each other. Number 2, never use derogatory language towards black people. Number 3, our women are not B's and H's or 304s. Such language is prohibited. Once is a mistake, twice is banishment. Number 4, black people are not N-words. We do not use the word. Period. Because complaining about our enemies using the word while we continue to call ourselves the word is the height of insanity. Lastly, you can speak with passion, but be respectful. Seek the truth and understanding. Speak truth and avoid Zionist stereotypes about the complementary gender. Right? So those are the rules of engagement, and I will keep those up. As I see, is our sister ready? Are you ready, my good sister? And after she says her piece, anybody who wants to come on. All right, well, the sister is ready. I think let me take the music down a little bit. Is it all right with y'all? Because it seems loud in my ear. No, maybe that's just mine. I guess I could just actually adjust my own audio. All right, cool. All right, sister, unmute yourself and explain to us explain to the audience what you explained to me when we had our discussion, and I will add you to the stage. Greetings, sister. You there? Okay, now I got to turn you up because I can't hear anything. All right, how are you tonight?
Well, yourself.
Huh?
They're doing well about yourself.
Okay. You sound a little muffled. I don't know. Chat, y'all tell me. Can y'all hear it clearly? She sounds muffled. Brother said you sound muffled.
I don't know what to do about that. How about now? Is it better?
Actually, it sounds like it's more your internet than. right, let's take the music down. Yeah, it sounds more like your internet than your actual volume.
Okay.
You sound kind of, all right, that sounds better. You were sounding kind of, do you have the show on in the background?
No, I just have one StreamYard.
Okay, cool. I thought maybe that was called a feedback. All right, so cool. Yeah, just what is it? Say regular headphones, and that's possible. Yeah, but no, we had a conversation the other day. Just let the people know what your response was when I asked you, why were sisters coming to the show? And before I let you go forward, I was looking at my analytics, and the gender disparity is actually grown for the channel in the last few months. So now that we got that out the way, explain to everybody what you told me.
Well, I'll start off. Hopefully, everybody can hear me. Introducing myself. I'm Nothing on Instagram. I'm a free birthing national mother, Malimu, and an advocate for African-centered, self-directed home education, which automatically being African-centered means that I'm straight Black pride, which means that there's only a few people that we can talk to in this world that are on the same page, reading from the same book. Yeah, we were talking about women and not wanting to have these conversations about love, about dating, and my understanding of it is that a lot of women just truly aren't interested. Like, and I'm really only speaking about women within the movement. I'm not talking about the general population. I'm not speaking for them. I'm not speaking for anybody that's worried about the election right now. I'm not speaking for anybody that was, pushing the jab. I'm only talking about us, our women within the community. And yeah, it's just not really it's not a priority, especially if you're a woman that has children that, you trying to figure out, as you can hear mine in the background. It's not a time to be trying to scroll through dating apps and, go meet with a man that might try and molest your child. You bring them home. It's just really, it's not a good time in general to be dating and knowing that we're closer and closer to war, knowing that we do have a mission as you laid out so eloquently before. It's a waste of time and a waste of energy. And more than that, it's hurtful. Because whether you're already a mama or you're someone that wants to be a mama, it's hurtful to know that the odds are so stacked up against us. And it's hurtful to be, involved in that conversation. So that was my take on it. I think a lot of women just, say, let's move on to the next step. And the next step now is, all right, I may not get my compliment, but let me get as many quality men around me so that at least they know I'm alive, right? They know that my children are here. If anything were to happen to me, I know that there's some men around me that are going to protect us or, whatever needs to be. So if that's the best that I can do in life so that my daughter can see positive, interactions between the male and the female within, the Black community, then I've done my part.
Okay. All right. So if anybody in the chat wants to ask the sister a question based upon what she said, because again, this conversation that she and I had, and I guess I should check to see if anybody is still watching on Instagram. Maybe they have a question. But okay, so I definitely understand that from the perspective of a sister who has children. Part of what you say sounds like pretty much, for lack of a better word, throwing in the towel.
Pretty much.
I'm trying to think. So, and I know as much as anybody can sit in their environment and there's all the chaos that's going on. What would change? Okay, now here's a question I got, because I thought about this before. If there was because we don't currently have one to my knowledge, but if we had a service to match like-minded people together, would that be something that would A, be beneficial for the community, and B, something that you think sisters would be interested in? So instead of having to, like you said, scroll through apps and meet random possible psychos, you know what I'm saying? We have something that's in the hands of like-minded people, that's created by like-minded people. In essence, a matchmaking service or something to that effect. Do you think that's something that sisters would be interested in?
Absolutely. It was maybe 2018 when the app called Black came out, BLK, and it's supposed to be, trying to date Black people, but it has to be a level of support that comes afterwards. Because there's one thing to find somebody, that's cool, and we can hit it off and whatever, but if you don't have the support, the community support to follow up with the relationship, then it's not gonna be. It's not guaranteed. You know what I mean? To
Right.
be able to have an elder that, all right, it's been a month, you have to say, and then, me as a woman to be like, look, this man, he off the wall. He shouldn't even be on this app, because he doing this or that or whatever. If it was something crazy, or if it was just something light, like, look, he doesn't seem to really like me, and I can't figure out why he's not communicating with me. Like, being able to follow through, so not just matchmaking, but really like making the match. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, yeah, and that's a secondary aspect that I feel like more elders in the community who have successful relationships, because it's two different things, right? One, they're the elders who need to interact with the brothers to just make sure that they're okay, the brother's okay, like psychologically, spiritually, so forth and so on. But then they're the couples elders who need to really, not just by example, but really become almost like a spiritual parents to the newer couple, and help guide them along, so that when there's those type of problems, the couple's not just getting it from one perspective, just from the male or female perspective, and they're also hearing from people who have lived that and experienced it and been through it, and can say, at one point we had something similar. So that's definitely another aspect. Brother, you got ripped off. Has a question? Is this, brother, you got ripped off? Is the question for the sister, or is it for the sisters in general? As I put it up on the screen, brother says, is there a contingent? Okay, I was about to read this so wrong. So let's try again, because I was certainly about to mess this up. Is there a contingent of sisters actively working to bring more women into the movement? ? If not, what do you think of starting an effort towards this? So I believe this is for you, Sister Najee. And I'll leave that up for a second.
I will return that with the question of, what does that look like to you?
Say that.
I was saying, I return that question with another question. What does that look like to you? Bringing somebody into the movement, what does that look like? Are we talking about starting a rites of passage for younger women so that they can like bypass a lot of the issues that we're with? Or are you talking about, online, trying to in the comments get people like what does that look like to you? Brother, you got ripped off.
But brother, you got ripped off. She said, what does that look like? Like what? She said, like, can you give some clarity on how sisters would go about that, or what that would look like? And we'll wait for the brother's answer.
And then when are we done with it? Bringing women in. Well, another point I wanted to make earlier is it's not too many people out here that are even willing to be brought in. And put yourself out there to get your neck chopped.
Oh. So the sister said, well, I mean, I'll say this. One, we're in a counter-revolutionary time. I've said this for a few years now. So the type of engagement and the type of people who are willing to even heed the message is definitely going to be lower than it was in, say, 2013, 14, and 15. And I'm gonna just say it from what I've seen, just in the last, and I'm just going by the last 12 plus years, close 12 to 15 years that I've been reactivated in the movement. It's rare. It's not impossible, but it's rare that sisters bring other sisters into the movement. Like, they basically have to be tight, like best friends, and they do everything together. And the first one that really loves the atmosphere and what's being produced and what's going on. And then that's when, a sister will bring in her best friend or a cousin or something like that. But you have to, one thing I know from organizing, right, for years, you have to build a social space for women to be able to flourish. So you have to have a physical space or somewhere where they come to and interact. And that helps women flourish because they're more social than we are as men, right? Like we can just come together for business, do the business, leave. Especially me. Y'all know how I am. Right? But women, it's different. So like the sisters that we brought into Straight Black Pride over the years, we built a very social space. And then once we built it, they were the maintainers of it and just ran it after that. Like anything social, like anything that makes the movement feel more family, like sisters in charge of that. They just take over it, they do it. Like that's their thing. And we just ask, or sometimes we don't even ask. Sometimes they just tell us, hey, did you do XYZ, or we gonna do ABC or whatever. And it's just like, oh, okay, cool. So that's how brothers can facilitate. As for how women, we got other sisters in the chat. I mean, what do y'all have to say to the brother's question? And I'll put it back up. And anyone can respond either in the chat, or you can respond via did I put I guess I can put the link back up. Put the link back up if anybody else wants to come on. Let's try that again. My computer just does not want to put this link back up. Here we go. So, no other sisters have a response. Okay, cool. So, brother, I'm going to say there's not a great effort towards that. And Oops, my bad. Oh, by the way, I forgot. You can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1, on Twitter at dc_radical_one, on OTWTube at dcradical1. You can donate via Cash App, $dcradical1, and you can email me at dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com. And I still haven't figured out. Sister Shaniqua says, if it's not in a sister's heart to be in the movement on her own, then it's pointless. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And I'm gonna just say this. And Sister Najee, if you have anything to add after I say this, please do. I'm gonna just be completely honest. You cannot have a successful, viable, worthwhile movement without contributions from Black women. Period. End of discussion. You just can't. Not a Black movement. Now you want to have some, you want to be integrated. You want to, I don't know. Like I'm sitting here trying to think of something integrated that could be worthwhile, and it can't be. So whatever. But if you're trying to build anything for Black people, and you don't have Black women who are wholeheartedly for it, and again, like I said, you have to make that space for them. It just not gonna happen. Like all of our historical movements that we look at and think of as being great and doing stuff for people, stuff like that. I mean, like the clearest example in the last 100 years is Queen Mother Moore. Queen Mother Moore has done more race work than most men in the last 100 years single-handedly. She worked on reparations. She worked with the UNIA. She was at the Million Man March. Like, listen to what I'm saying. She was working with Garvey and the UNIA and at the Million Man March. You see what I'm saying? And she was working on reparations in the 50s. And that's just a little bit of her, right? So we're talking about there's one sister that's invaluable. You know what I'm saying? Sister Poetry says that's definitely true. I'm thankful for the sister that I introduced you to. We love to have more like us. I'm always looking for like-minded sisters when I'm out and about. Sadly, it's not as great. Yeah, I mean, I'm just be honest. It's not. There are more brothers in the movement because there always been more brothers in the movement. But it's not as if there's like a lot of new brothers coming in, because I'm just be honest. Let's be honest, right? We see Dr. Umar, right? I've watched people sit around and say they agree with Dr. Umar until he says you have to have a Black woman or be with a Black woman. You can't, or you can't be with a non-Black woman, I guess. However he puts it. And then they want to argue. But they want to talk about how pro-Black they are and they're down with the movement. But you're not down enough with the movement to be with a Black woman, right? I mean, it's crazy. Plain and simple, like the person is confused. But I see that a lot. And this idea that Black men don't need Black women or vice versa. Because let's be honest. We've been calling on women out their name for decades. Black women have been saying they don't need a man for now decades, right? Pretty much kind of starting with the whole Color Purple thing originally, right? That kind of like set the stage for that. You're on your second or third generation of men, so now the men have actually like believe in it. Like, oh, okay. They keep saying they don't need us, so okay, they don't need us. But again, where's that slide at? Let me retrace my steps. Where's that slide at? You cannot produce Black life in a non-Black woman. Greetings, Sister Nefertaria. Right? I'm gonna repeat that. I need to make a slide just that says that, just in big giant letters. and or maybe just says it like all the way down the board. You cannot produce black life in a non-black woman. I don't care how great a black man you think you are. You cannot produce black life in a non-black woman. You can produce a mixed person, and good luck with that mixed person choosing to be black in a war, right? But you cannot produce non-black life in a non-black womb. You also cannot take a non-black seed, put it in a black womb, and produce a black person. The best you can get out of that is Bob Marley. That's the best you can get. And I ain't seen nobody produce Bob Marley since Bob Marley's mother. You okay? Right? What'd you say, sister?
I said that his father wasn't there to take him.
Right. So, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, unless y'all got another example, in the last 100 years, Bob Marley is by far the greatest mixed person ever, who was for black people. And we still, I mean, he had some flaws there because, his mate selection kind of wavered, but he's mixed. So what can you say? But like the sister said, his father wasn't around to taint him. So he was his mother's child. And then a sister, at least as far as I know, brought him into Rasta, which helped cultivate that spirituality that made the love of Africa in him. Right? So, but I'm gonna just be honest to any brothers listening who want to disagree. You're not gonna produce a Bob Marley. It ain't in you. You are not gonna take that European female and produce a Bob Marley. I know you want to challenge me and try just because I said it, but it ain't happening in this environment. And let's keep it real where we at, right? As I talk about this, because this thing's been bugging me for a while. Like ever since I saw them dudes arguing with Umar, and I don't even know who the people were. Y'all know Umar, not he's not my folks like that, but I have things that I agree with him about, and many things I do not. But this idea, man, this idea that you can be pro-black but not pro-black people, you know what I'm saying? Not pro-black, the process that produces black people is what I'm trying to say, is ridiculous. And in an environment where clockwork, every 4 years, the racial animus is going to be ratcheted up. And we see what's going on in England, right? That can easily become here. Do you think that European female is going to protect you from the wrath and the ire of European males? Or is that going to make you a target to be the first person they come to kick down their door and to shoot up because you with their woman? See, nobody don't want to talk about that part. That European female is not going to protect you. You're not going to be able to hide. You know what I'm saying? A lot of dudes think that they can hide in the womb of the enemy from the enemy, or hide in the womb from the adversary. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't gonna see me in here. Nah, he gonna definitely see you. You gonna be the first person he target. Because they're gonna say, I'm sick and tired of seeing our women with these ends. That's what he gonna say. And he coming right to your doorstep.
Even if she tries to protect, it's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen because they'll kill her too, as we've seen before.
That's right. What the sister said. Bro, you got ripped off said, in most cases, it'd be that European woman that caused your demise rather directly or indirectly. In this environment, because again, let's be honest. We've talked, I mean, on the other show on the center. And greetings to brother Tony. What are you talking about? These people are saying if Trump does not win, they are preparing for civil war. And let's be honest, whenever they start preparing for civil war, black people the first people on the menu. Right? Black people the first people on the menu. So this I just wanted to disabuse us of this ridiculous idea. Because some people, like somebody, they saw the post. I mean, they saw before we started the broadcast, and they were like, I said, I asked the question, is black love still relevant at the time of war? And they said no. Okay. But they didn't stick around to actually listen to the discussion. And if you're in here and you would like to voice your opinion, just make sure you follow the rules. Follow the rules of the show. Then have at it. But I just had to get that off my chest because I'm seeing it so much, and it's bad. It's just what the old people say, gets my goat. You know what I'm saying? Like it really irritates me to see dudes pretend. Because, and another thing, while I'm just off on a tangent right now, this thing amongst black women that I'm seeing, and of course I'm not talking about our sisters here, but where basically black men who are with white women are sellouts, and they are. But black women who are with white men aren't. This obvious contradiction that I see on the internet. And Kamala is a perfect example. Like, not only are people defending her being black, which again, you can't produce. Wait, hold up. Where's it at? Let me go back to that slide. I don't mean to go back and forth, but please note you cannot produce black life in a non-black. All right. So right there, that ends the Kamala discussion for me. But even then, even if you were to say she's black, her mate is non-black. Her stepchildren are European. Right? So you see this, what they say alleged is a black woman, who I say is a mixed person, with a whole European family. Like this is not, there's not even any, like she's not bringing any children to the table. There's not no blended family and nothing. It's just, they just plugged in a mixed person into a European family and said, this is your savior. And the women are eating it up. And I'm sitting here like, what part of this is worse than Obama? What part of this is for black people? Where's the blackness at in this mix of stuff? So as a black man, I'll just say this. If that woman is if that's what she, if that's what she worships, that's what she's into, that's what she's supporting, man, you might as well just find you another woman. That's her goal, that's her ideal. And you're never going to be sufficient as a black man, because she's looking at what Kamala can accomplish with a non-black man. And they just don't know what else to say on the issue, right? So if any brothers got any questions for the sister, are you willing to take any questions from the brothers before we close out? So if any brothers got any questions for the sisters, or if anyone else would like to tap in and speak on the subject at hand, which I guess I got to go all the way back to that, which is Black love still relevant in a time of war, which is our initial discussion. By the way, Sister Najee, I don't think you actually answered that question. So,
what was it?
Is Black love still relevant in a time of war?
Yeah, I'll answer that question like this. So the other day, I was watching a film called Barefoot Gen, which is like a little anime based on a real life story of 6-year-old boy that was there to witness the devastation of the bombs on Japan. Most of his family died, and then he had to basically, help his pregnant mother in the aftermath of the fires and, nonsense and all of that happened. And whereas he had a father that was there, it just was one of those things where the boy survived because there was concrete walls in his school. He had just bent down and he was in the shade. So the hot flash that melted most of everybody, he didn't catch the flash. So he survived. And his mom, who was back home, she was upstairs and she had just turned around. Something real, like, universal. It's not coincidence. It's universal quirkiness. And she survived. But everybody else was crushed and then alive. And he, him and his mother witnessed them burning alive. There was nothing that he could do about it. Nothing that she could do about it because she wasn't strong enough to the house. So, is it relevant to have love in that kind of situation where the emotional turmoil of having to listen to your children scream "help me" and you can't do it because you're not strong enough because you're pregnant, or you can't, your husband can't help because he's under the house, he's burning alive? Is it relevant? You hear my daughter in the background say no. No. Very. I mean, a lot of people think that's extreme, but that's literally what we're dealing with right now. We're talking about, Israel and Iran and everybody else. Like, America is not nobody's friend right now, to be honest with you, because Israel, who we could say they're friends, but they actively backstab America. They're using America like a B word we're not allowed to use right now. So America's not a good place to be, in my opinion, which is why I'm not there. Which means that as far as trying to find love, that means I gotta look for somebody that doesn't even know my culture, don't even speak my language, but that's okay for me. Now, somebody that's in the States right now is
it's a general question. It's not a personal question.
I feel you. I'm just speaking on the reality. I'm not the only one that's left. There's a lot of Black women that are leaving. I'm on a couple of Facebook groups of people that have already left and been left, or they're in the process of leaving. And they're not leaving with their husband. They're leaving by themselves because they're trying to get out, and people, that's that large group of people that are trying to get out, already left. And then there's a group of people that don't have anywhere to go, don't have the capital to move. And, I feel like in that situation, if you're in the States trying to find love, irrelevant. Trying to find a man that will protect and serve the household and the community, very relevant. Actively going to lead to your survival. But trying to find love and then mixing your feelings and your emotions and your generational trauma into this real life connection that you need to protect yourself, it seems detrimental, honestly. And that's not speaking on just women, even men. There's been a couple brothers in the movement that are supposed to be in high places, but because they put their feelings of love into the mix, now they're not trusted anymore. you know.
Yeah. Well, I'll say that it, and I said this before, and I think we have kind of different, a kind of slightly different understanding of love. Yeah, Lord Bell, you really greetings. As I said before, and I understand what you're saying, but from the man's perspective, making an investment, like what you're saying, like in essence, trying to save the lives of someone or incorporate them into your family or whatever the case may be, without an emotional investment, most men aren't going to do that, especially nowadays, because let's just be honest, it is a lot of there is a lot of resentment that's unspoken, and some of it is actually spoken. Right? But you see it more in the comment sections than you see it spoken amongst men who in essence are the can I say the unchosen? What's the word I'm looking for?
We hear them, we see them, and spoken and all podcasts and everything.
Say that again.
But we hear them in the podcast. It is spoken. The unchosen men are heard.
Right. So, and like I said, I'm gonna get next week's show is going to get kind of deeper. It's going to touch into that aspect, but like that's a very real dynamic in the community that people haven't wanted to address. And so and that aspect really gave birth to the passport bros and the those related movements and ideas, right? Basically because it's almost like I don't know if y'all remember, it's almost like the inverse of the good men are in jail. I don't know, y'all remember that phenomenon? Like that was a thing where sisters were like, all the good men are, like, they weren't saying married, like some women were saying married or in jail, but women were saying all the good men are in jail or gay. And I'm thinking to myself, what part of that is a good man? Right? But it's almost the inverse of that, where it's like all the good women have children by the worst men. Like that's what the men are saying. You just like, okay, all the good women? Sure about that? All of them? So we have that going on, but that's next week's discussion, so I don't want to get into that. So I am going to put the link in the chat if anyone else would like to add to the discussion, because basically the sister is saying that relationship, well, an arrangement, I don't know, sister, how would you categorize it? I don't want to say a loveless marriage, and a mutually beneficial arrangement, sure, but real love, not so much. Have I boiled down what you're saying to the essence of it?
Does that even have to be that person? If it's just somebody in the neighborhood that knows to watch out, it doesn't have to be you living in the house with me or anything like that. I think that, so I kind of wanted to get clarity on what you said, because it sounded like you're saying there's resentment from the men and they're not going to be interested in protecting a woman or caring for a woman if she's not going to be offering love to him. Is that what you said, or that's what you meant?
They're gonna, yeah, there's a and I'm not talking about necessarily in the movement, but I'm just looking at what it looks like on the ground in America at this time.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a significant portion of it because they already saying it, some of them. And I'm not saying I'm not the character of these men. I'm not debating one way or another for or against. I'm just saying there's a portion of the male population that I have heard who basically are already talking about, in essence, abandoning the community because they feel abandoned by the community in essence. And so I'm saying there was a time where a larger percentage of men would help a sister because it's the right thing to do. Right? Just oh, there's a sister there. She got a flat tire. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna help her. I'm saying the percentage of those men has decreased. So if men won't stop to help a sister with a flat tire, anything more strenuous than that, you know what I'm saying, we can throw out the window. So I'm just saying we're in a very there is real contention, and there has been a portion of men who have checked out in essence. Sister Poetry, do you have a question or comment to go with that super chat? That I appreciate that $5 super chat. If you got a question or comment, just put it in the chat and get my attention, and I'll put it up. So yeah, so I'm just saying that is a very real thing that we'll have to deal with, and it's like you said, there are sisters leaving. I understand why. I've seen sisters go to the continent and things like that. And it is interesting. My biggest issue is I haven't seen anyone, with the exception of one couple maybe, that are there in I believe Tanzania, that has found a place to build a community that is centered. Other than that, I see people leaving the continent, but where they're going is just like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, okay, you're not in America, but you're also around Negroes. You're just around Negroes that speak a different language.
Right. And that kind of like brings me back to the other point of, there's no point in trying to be in love with somebody and you still broken. So I've seen a couple of sisters go to the continent and try and find love there. And it turns up being a whole issue of trying to escape, because now they caught up in some mess. So that's a twofold thing of not romanticizing the continent, and then also not putting your heart in front of your head.
Right. And I'll say this, in my opinion, that's more, obviously, for obvious reasons, women are more likely, unless the man is younger. And when you're young as a man, that's a whole other discussion. But women are more likely to get caught up in the excitement of quote unquote new love. You see what I'm saying? Where men, and like I said, if a man's young, yeah, that's one thing. An older man, it takes a lot to get them excited. Just to be completely honest, it's a lot to get them excited. Like, that's one thing we never talk about. Like, we talk about jaded women. Like, there's a lot of talk about jaded women. We never talk about jaded men. Like, there's a lot of men out here who are in an emotional space to have a healthy relationship and may not even be aware of it, right? Like, because that takes some self-reflection. Like, am I really, as a man, am I really available? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a whole nother thing. That's why I started off talking about, in essence, something. Even Baba Rudy, he was talking about it. He was like, elders are going to have to get involved in trying to match people, because it seemed like people can't find each other and things like that. He said it a few years ago. I don't know what process has been enacted in that, but I think that's needed, because I'm gonna just be honest. Non-centered, sane people trying to mate with people who are not in alignment is disastrous, because we can't afford to lose people to shenanigans of whatever type. You know what I'm saying? Or, I've seen brothers try to step outside the movement to bring a sister in, and what ended up happening is they get pulled outside the movement. I've seen that for decades, since almost as long as I've been in the movement. I've seen it, right? That is a real thing. In fact, that was one of the main things that kind of stalled out the movement. Some of the movements back in the day was, as younger brothers got older and there wasn't as many sisters in movements, and brothers would start to leave movements or try to bring sisters in, and then sisters take them out and all. So I've seen all that. I've seen that dynamic for long as I can remember. So I'll just say that whatever we're doing right now, it ain't working. You know what I'm saying? And I'll put it like this. I think a lot of our people are very challenged to find a mate, and whatever processes people are using are not sufficient to produce the type of families we need in order to survive, especially in America. Like, it is what it is. Like, the reason I brought up this discussion is because it speaks to the core of our culture and who we are, which is the relationship between black men and black women. And I hope I'm wrong, but I just gotta say this. I don't think I've said this publicly. We're in a very vulnerable place where black people in America can basically be eradicated. One of the things that had helped us along the way was family, and was people coming together and reproducing multiple, 4, 5, 6 children, and those children going out, so forth, so on. Our numbers have gone down. There's a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is 20 million abortions. It is what it is. We can, you can debate the whys and wherefores and so forth, so on, but 20 million abortions is one of the reasons. One of the reasons is 30 whatever, and I had the statistics of early, low 30s percentage wise of black men get married, high 20s percentage wise of black women get married. We are not, like, the destruction of the family. We are being destroyed in a way that it isn't readily apparent for those who can't see, but for those who can see, it's readily apparent and scary, right? And you producing generations of mental people is basically detrimental. Like, we need centered, sane black families if we are going to survive. Plain and simple. Now, if anybody wants to disagree with that, or they want to you can show and prove what I'm saying is a fallacious argument, then step forth. You know what I'm saying? But from my opinion, we're in a very perilous time in America where it can be over quickly, like extremely quickly. And the path we're going down is a path of obliteration, just plain and simple. And a lot of people don't want to admit this, but Black people in America have been the intellectual vanguard against European domination and Zionist hegemony for centuries. And the idea that that could just be replaced on a continent is a hope. We see with Brother Traore and Goita and Shiani are doing. And that is excellent. But do they have the full understanding of the enemy that we have? I do not know. Like I do not know. Right? So our presence and our contribution has been invaluable. Right? Like Mr. Garvey looked to Booker T. Washington. A lot of people from the continent who would go on to be revolutionaries and fight against colonialism look to Mr. Garvey. Like there's a very real contribution that Black people in the West in general and Black people in America in particular have made. And that if that light isn't continuing to shine, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? As far as the future of Black people, I just put like this. Will Black people eventually rise? Yes. But that will greatly slow down the process, in my opinion. Because we've been an example of eternal struggle against a mighty foe for centuries. And many times people won't say it until you talk to them, but people come from the continent, and once they learn our story, they look at us like these Black people are superhuman. How have they survived all that? Because they don't even know their story of survival. But they look around, they're like, well, at least we had the people outnumbered. They look at us and I've had those conversations. Sister Nessa says, a lot of Black people don't see that we're being annihilated because they see biracials as Black. Yeah. That's the other danger, that Black folk don't want to change the narrative. Right. Yeah, because Barack Obama and Kamala Harris are not Bob Marley. just like I said before. You got ripped off. Said the sad reality is Black people with children visually have no option for their children to further the Black genetic code, because those who are Black or Negro Europeans not worth propagating with. That's a whole nother dynamic, bro. That's a whole nother dynamic, and that's why the building of families, plural, is so important, so that centered families can interact with each other, and your children can have playmates who are like-minded. I've seen through institutions that we have here, I've seen how that can really how those children gravitate towards each other and become lifelong friends and become like family. Like, I've seen how that works, and we need more of that. So again, this is SBL Talk, Straight Black Love Talk. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And again, you can follow me, DC Radical 1, on Instagram at DC.Radical1, on Twitter at DC Radical_ONE, on OTW2, which is a Black owned platform at DC Radical 1. You can donate via Cashapp $DC Radical 1. And you can email me at dc.radical_1@protonmail.com. Brother, you got ripped off. Please don't let me forget to fix that before next week. The email address, because that is so incorrect. So before we go, I will put the link in the chat one more time. Anybody would like to interject their thoughts? Let's see. Now is the time. Last time I said that, brother came on and we ended up talking for another 40 minutes. So I will give you all a minute or two to if you have anything you want to say and you want to come on. Also, because I forgot my semi co-host, I would like to thank Sister Najee. Y'all give her some clap emojis for joining me, keeping it from being too boring and providing a sister's perspective on the subject. Sister Najee, you still there? You went to sleep.
Yeah.
You still there?
Yep, we're here.
Okay. I just want to thank you for participating in the platform today, and also for inspiring the discussion, because if not for our conversation, like, who knows what the subject matter would be. So I want to thank you for that. And Lord Bell says, for people around his age, most of them support the rainbow community, are not serious. So that's another reason why people aren't staying together. Yeah, I don't know if I did address that earlier before you came on. I touched on that lightly, but that's major. The homophilia aspect is definitely major. So again, I want to thank brother, you got ripped off for the super chat. Sister Poetry as well for the super chat. Sister Poetry, if you got anything to say that you would like to interject, now is the time. If not, I think I will close this out. I think this has been a productive and interesting discussion. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so more people can get involved. Again, this SBL Talk, and this is an interactive show where I actually would like to hear you all's opinion after I set forth the program. So I thank everyone for listening. Thank everyone for spreading the message. Thank everyone who has come on in the first 3 shows to express their opinion. Do not forget that August 17th at 2 p.m., 10th annual Straight Black Pride Convention will be taking place in Baltimore, Maryland at Terra Cafe, 101 East 25th Street, Baltimore, Maryland. I think it's 21218. Again, that's at 2 p.m. Brother Jeannie will be speaking. I will be speaking. Brother Darren Muhammad will be speaking. So you don't want to miss that. If you're on the East Coast, come on down. And if not, we will let you know how you can check the live stream. So with that, brothers and sisters, I will close out. And I will say, a BB for old day and straight black pride. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_one. And the Cashapp is $DC Radical1. Again, thank you for subscribing. A big for ODA and straight black pride.